Hello, 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 hello. So some of you have kind of been hinting that, and understandably so, that I have been dropping massive amounts of data on the sub and not really explaining how to utilize it. So, obviously the best tool in the hands of somebody who has no idea how to utilize it is worthless. So I'm going to try and walk through here and try to explain how to best utilize this as a resource. So I'm going to go ahead and just start off with what it will look like when you open up the document that I drop in. So obviously this is how it looks like. I'm just going to pop this column open first. To extend a column, you just double click on the edge and it'll open. And basically what you're seeing here is a primary key of the information. This is a concatenation. So if you want to know how to recreate this on your own spreadsheet, just look up concatenate in Google. I'm just taking the card name, the edition, the set edition, the rarity, and whether it's a non-foil, it's blank, or a foil, it'll have foil in all caps. We'll see that as we go through to help identify it uniquely. So that way, reprints, changes in rarity, non-foil is all accounted for. All editions will be accounted for. So in this instance, this column it's useless to us as a standalone document. If you're just looking at this on a day-to-day basis, you just want to know what's changed from yesterday to today, ignore this column. If, however, and I would highly advise this, if you want to track your collection over time against a buy list, um, this is very, very, very useful if you know how to do match index or VLOOKUP for keeping track over time of what your cards are worth on the buy list. I even include a market, but if you don't trust my market, there are other ways to query that into a Google Sheet, so I understand that. But if you just want to use what I'm providing, you can keep track of what your cards are worth today on the market, an overrated figure, and I'll go into that later. I have a tirade. And you'll be able to see the current buy list for that card. And on this instance, we are looking at Card Kingdom. I can provide others, but for now, I'm really focusing on just this one because I believe it's the main outlet for the community, and I really want to get one down just really, really well. So again, this is a useless column for this as a standalone document. If you want to integrate it with your own personal collection, I would highly advise it, and this will be very, very useful for you to do that. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and right-click and hide it because it means nothing to us, like so many things. Oops, sorry. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just highlight this. So just shifting, and then again double-click because we want this to go there. Then we're going to filter. Oops, I should have filtered first. I'm just going to double click again. But again, we just want to highlight. We went up to the top right, we clicked filter. Then we came back down and we auto size the columns when we double click on the edges of these columns. So now I hate looking at the data on the left. This is a personal element. You do not need to do this. But if you don't, I will be judging you. But go ahead and just center the information, just cleaner, easier on the eyes, I think. And there you go. So now we're just going to run through. We have all of our information, and we have it all in a easily sortable fashion. Look at that. I did this twice, and I still need to auto size these. Proof I still have a lot to learn. Alrighty, so we have the card names in this column, self-evident. Now here again, I have the set modified for Card Kingdom. Every website has their own unique way, oh they're all so special, of formatting sets. So I have externally of this a way of equivalating those, but for now, as annotated, this is how Card Kingdom would view a set and how it would display it out in a filter. Then we have the rarity of the card, and then we have a non-foil foil column. And then over here we have a weighted rank. Now what this is, and this is where it gets a little meaty. I am looking over several different sites, and I am looking at their best-selling list. So I am trying to ascertain what is the best-selling card in the game right now. And now instead of just looking at one site or the other, or a third, like if I were to pull up Star City Games, Channel Fireball, Card Kingdom, and TCG, I promise you their best-selling lists would be nowhere close to each other. Trust me, I have looked, and I have done it many, many times. The lists are of all different sizes. Just for example, Card Kingdom's shows you the top 40,000 selling cards, which is kind of remarkable because I mean, that's a lot of cards. TCG, I mean, their best-selling list only goes to 10,000. Channel Fireball, Star City Games, they're different too. So here I am equivalating those with a weighted average. Now, if you want to know the exact percentage with which I am weighting it, um, I'm not gonna tell you which. That's for me. If you find this to be inaccurate, so be it. But I'm very confident that you will not. I have some access to other sources that have really contributed to my confidence in these numbers. However, if you find them to be off, definitely let me know and I'll try and make some adjustments. But for now, you'll have to take me at my word for it. So this will show you what the best-selling cards in Magic are right now. Now, obviously, as I said, I am not pulling this from one site. I am pulling this from multiple, and I am here demonstrating my degree of confidence, so my demand percent confidence. Obviously, I need to get a better title for this column. It's terrible. I'm working on it. Suggestions very welcome. But this is the degree to which I am confident in this ranking. Now, I know 8 is low, but if we look right here, I only have 4 options right now. I am still kind of getting my feet wet, getting under me as I'm sourcing this information. So 64% is the highest degree of confidence that I can give. 56 right below, 8%, and then 0%. This is a base factor. Basically, I'm getting the zero pricing information and demand rankings from a site that provides something and is very easy to get a hold of, but I have found to not be very reliable. But I would rather have something than nothing. So I am including that, but I want you to know that that is the least reliable source that I can give. Just cards on the table. Not very confident in this number. If this is 0, even if it's 8, I'm even more confident than it is at 0. The difference is huge. Again, this is only out of 64 right now. I am working on improving that. So next here I have the market estimate value. So obviously, again, certain sites have a higher volume demand going through them, so I'm going to weight those sites above the others. So if I'm able to get the market value of a card on one of those higher selling sites, I am going to insert that over the others. But I will try to have a value for everything. If not, again, it's going to default to 0. Again, I don't want to lie to you, so I'd rather just give you a default 0 market value if I have nothing. Next, I'm going to give you the buy list value. I believe, as I've said earlier, and as this indicates, this is the Card Kingdom buy list offer for each and every card. So obviously now we are going to be comparing the market value to the buy list value, and that is what we see here in this column. So this is the arbit. I call it the arbitrage column. This is also what I like. I made it. I'm gonna joke. This is my free money column. This is gonna tell me when the market value is showing for added card waste at 4.72 to be less than the buy list value. Now again, I'm going to correlate this with my percent confidence here. So even though this shows a $1.28 separation, so ideally if we were to go load these into our cart, we'd make $1.28 per if we just drop shipped it to Card Kingdom. That's probably not the case. I only have an 8% degree of confidence in that. Now it's something. Would I follow up on it if I had the time and I was going through a list? Absolutely. But as we'll see, as I start playing with the filters after we're done going through these columns, this isn't one I would really put money on to be there. Now, last but not least, and this is an important column, is the quantity desired. This is how many copies of the card Card Kingdom is willing to accept. So if you buy a brick, say you buy 75 copies of a card, but Card Kingdom is only willing to take 52, well, you're out of luck. I mean, obviously there are ways around that. I'm not going to express that here, but it's best to avoid those situations when possible. This also gives a fun measure, and I'll actually go into that tirade now. Buy list and card quantity. What is Card Kingdom willing to accept day over day? By day over day, I mean, what did they offer for this card yesterday, and what are they offering for it today? So for Beacon of Unrest, highlight this, they're offering 33 cents today. Say yesterday they were offering 38. and the day before they were offering 43, and the day before they were offering 48. I know this card is on the decline. I want to stay away from it, especially if the quantity desired that they want has gone from 25, 20, 15, 10. Every single signal is indicating that this card is on the decline. Avoid like heck. Do not put your money in this card. Uh, in case you didn't know by now, this is a finance video, not a player's video. But this also gives an indication as well. So say something like, we'll do a quick little dive here. So if you want to do a single card search, go up to card name. You want to unselect select all, so you click this and it'll uncheck everything. And I'm going to look up Smuggler's Copter. There it is. So I just want these ones checked. So I know from contextual knowledge, oh, and I have a high degree, I love it when that happens. I have a high degree of confidence. That's the highest degree of confidence I can have for you. And look at that. Look at how well that's selling. Look how well that card's selling. I know for a fact from contextual knowledge that the buy list value of this card jumped from $3 to $5 just today, this very day. And it's been sitting at $3, give or takes 25 cents for about the past week. But the quantity desired until today was 400 copies. So we have to look at this a little analytically. Alright, so they offered more dollars per copy, but they have drastically diminished the amount of copies that they're willing to accept. So we're willing to buy at a higher price, but far, far fewer. So if you're looking at this from the outside, and this video is recorded November 18, 2019, I am seeing, essentially, that this card has reached equilibrium in the market. Pioneer was announced, its market value here skyrocketed. People were paying out the wazoo. Card Kingdom always plays it safe. They don't want to offer a high value on a card that's not established, so they are going to be slow on the uptick for cards that spike. So they were very slow, but they wanted to accept all the copies they could. I mean, clearly, it was selling well for them. They wanted all the copies they could get at a price they felt safe at, even if the card fell down. Now, however, the card is establishing itself. This is my assumption, this is my analysis now, is that the card either has or is beginning to form a market value, a real market value that people are buying and selling, not just the spike value. Now, so they've increased what they're willing to offer per copy, but on that same note, they've vastly decreased the amount they're willing to take. So this tells me that this card is now solidifying. The iron is cooling. Basically, they are now willing to offer a higher amount of money for this card because they have a higher degree of confidence that they can sell it at this price. It's not just a spike anymore. This is a solidified market price. They're a vendor. They want to make money. But they're going to take far, far fewer because if they're going to put more money into it, they don't want as many copies. They want to make sure they can sell it at this. Now, if I were to see tomorrow that this moves up to 75 and this is staying at 5, that's another story. But for now, we've got to work with the information we have. So that's a very deep dive into one card. I just want to show you kind of the potential of what we're working with here. Also important to note before I filter out of this, this is a rare. If this was a mythic, oh my goodness. I hope you know the rates of rares to mythics. If you don't, please go Google it and come back. Mythics, always far more keen on. So when I give you this, what's the best way to sort it? So the first thing that I would do, if you're in a hurry, like I am, I try and automate all of this. I would immediately filter out everything that's not the highest value here. For now it's 64, but if that changes in the future, always go to the highest value in this percent confidence column. Now that we're here, I can see that it's doing its own thing. The next thing that I would do, excuse me one sec, is I would want to filter off of the arbitrage. I want to know where the most money can be had right now with the highest degree of confidence. Makes sense, right? You just need to know what we're looking at. So now that I've done that, I see that according to this, at the highest degree of confidence, the inefficiencies in the market are very low, which makes sense. That's what you would expect, right? If it was broken, everybody would be making money hand over fist, and by that token, Card Kingdom and any buy list would be out of business. We wouldn't be here. So these margins are slim. So if you're looking for a fast turnaround, the margins on this will be extremely low. I'm not going to lie to you, they will probably be there quite often, especially at a lower degree of confidence. You will be able to find cards that the market has forgotten about, that the buy list value is egregiously higher than market, and you'll be able to make $3-4 per copy. It's amazing. It's astounding that the vendors don't check each other, but it is what it is. Capitalize on it while you can. But for now, I want to see what the market is doing. I want to invest. I want to make the most money that I can. And I want to be able to get in at the perfect entry point. So for right now, I hope this prediction comes true, or I'm going to look like a fool. But even if it doesn't, I've got the data in front of me. I feel safe with it. Fervent Champion is the 107th best-selling card in Magic right now, and that's out of the 40,000 ranking, and I believe I'm tracking 30,600 cards here. So that's a really, really, really good ranking. So it's really moving. I have a high degree of confidence. The market value I'm fairly confident on. I mean, probably plus or minus, especially plus shipping. So you're going to want to buy in bulk, but that buy list value is above market, or at least at equivalency. Quantity desired is a little lower than I would like. It tells me again, I told you before, I didn't tell you, but I mentioned in my experience, Card Kingdom, they're very shy on cards that spike. So looking for cards that spike, it's better to look for forgotten cards. We'll get there later. But in this instance, we're just trying to get a feel for the market to see if we invest, if I were to recommend somebody to buy a brick of cards, and by brick I mean buy 25 plus copies of a card, as of today, because rare here, I don't see any mythics in the top of this list, I would say as of today, Fervent Champion would be the safest card to spec on based off of buy list backing, current price, my degree of confidence against the entire MTG singles market selling, and the best selling list. I mean, that's a lot of factors going for it. People are buying this card, they're using it, it's got buy list backing, it's got demand. The market is clearly behind a little bit here. The degree to which on a card as low value as this is debatable, but it is there. So this is a card I would look very heavily at right now. Just to provide context too, if I drop down one card, Dawn of Hope, you see a lot of the same story, but there's a very key difference. Actually, it gets very complicated. Ooh, this is an analyst dream for you. So the degree of confidence is high, the market value is about the same, and we see a 10-cent split here between buy list and market value. So, you might be looking at this thinking, oh, I'm just going to get Fervent Champion, Dawn of Hope. They'll both turn out. Look at them. The arbitrage is about the same. It's not necessarily the case. It's selling 5 times slower than Fervent Champion. So the demand is 5 times smaller. And if I go over here, we can see that the buy list, if I do my math correctly, they only want 4 times more copies. So clearly this card is less valuable than Fervent Champion. Even though that split is about the same for the immediate flip, if you were to invest in this hoping the card would go up, the demand just isn't there compared to Fervent Champion or even the one below it, Gruul Spellbreaker. Which has an equivalence, but I would actually probably rank Gruul Spellbreaker over Dawn of Hope as a spec given that demand rating and the fact that it's equivalent percent confidence. The split is only a 3-cent difference. They want far fewer, so they're hesitant. They want to move in on it. This looks like Card Kingdom getting gung-ho on the bans. They're leaning into a spec. They're not sure. And by leaning in, to be clear, I'm not saying Card Kingdom is speculating on a card. I'm saying the players are speculating on this card. They're buying Gruul Spellbreaker in anticipation, I would presume, for a ban, and because they're low on stock now, Card Kingdom is forced to offer a higher amount for that card, and of course they're going to offer fewer copies because they're not sure it's really going to stick. But this is where we can stick it to the vendor. This is where they are gambling. This is where they are really gambling, and this is where we can really capitalize as MTG financiers. So that's that, and I think I've pretty well explained the relationship between buy list value, market, percent confidence, and quantity desired. So the other thing that I briefly mentioned earlier was that when we're looking at cards with a high degree of confidence, this means also, when we're looking at this value here, that they're selling really well. So again, if I wanted to add a third filter, actually no, this won't work. I'd have to go up and do more complicated things, so I'm not going to do that just not to confuse you. But if I wanted to, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. So just looking at the weighted rank and looking at the dollar value, I think I've explained pretty well that you can make some money here. Oh, that's where I was. At 64% confidence, these are the cards that I know are moving with a high degree of confidence. Um, Oftentimes, though, it's not the cards that are spiking that Card Kingdom can be caught with their pants on the ground, or most vendors can be caught um, kind of just completely unawares and offering way too much money for a card that has no business being worth that much money. Um, so if I just go ahead and drop down here, um, I want the zeros. I'm going to go ahead, and this is going to be a much more complex kind of filtering, and this comes from, dare I say it, experience just with the market. So again, I want this filtered largest to smallest for arbitrage. Market values here, get rid of all the zeros. Zeros are the cards that either I could not find you a reasonable market value for, and yes, I am subjective in that. And by subjective, I mean I am not going to provide to you a price for an alpha or beta tropical island. If anybody says they can tell you what that price is with any degree of confidence without looking up the current at that day lowest listing on TCG, they're lying. It changes. Those cards are so old, and the price fluctuates. Percentage-wise, not that much, but at that value, it's can be quite a substantial amount of money. So I just default make them zero. So we're going to get rid of the zeros. I want you to see them, know they exist, but they are not actionable at all. So here we can see that this buy list value is really high versus what I'm finding to be the market value for even these cards. And again, I've tried. I can only automate so much without risking the integrity of the data. So we see these ridiculous amounts. But we see here, first of all, well, one, foils. That's a no-go right away. And then here we see they're not selling. 40,001 is the worst ranking you can get in my system because it's out of 40,000. So anything 40,001 is the, like, it's just not moving. It's got a high price tag, it's got a high buy list value, but it's not selling. So if you can find a cheap copy for a flip, great. If you're looking to invest in this, it's not moving. Don't invest in this. Hint to rookie investors, MTG investors, don't buy into reserve list expecting movement. You're going to lose patience well before the card moves. Um, so then here we have the percent confidence, which obviously is zero. I'm telling you straight up in this column, I'm showing you this, I'm showing you this, I have a value here. My degree of confidence is as low as it can be. Obviously, we want to improve that a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of foils. Again, I loathe foils. I hate them. Then the next thing I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go ahead and drop this down, and I'm going to get rid of all of the old sets. Any sets that cannot be reasonably obtained, I'm not going to, it's not actionable. And the entire point of this document is to be, or this spreadsheet and this information and this data is to make money. If you can source 25 tropical islands, God bless you, but you are not the average player. And you're not even the average investor in Magic. You own the shop at that point, and what are you doing watching my videos? So we're going to get rid of this, we're going to get rid of this, we're going to go down here, we're going to get rid of Mercadian Mass, we're going to get rid of Nemesis, we're going to get rid of Odyssey, Onslaught. These are more dubious choices. Do it your own will. Definitely get rid of Portals. I'm going to get rid of Scourge. By the way, if I ever drop any report into a sub and you see me, I am always know I'm filtering these out. Because these are just not real. This is a fairy tale. Get rid of, again, these three are very questionable. Personal experience. Yeah, definitely get rid of Arabian Nights and Legends. Jeez. My bad. Get rid of Legends. And get rid of Legions while I'm there. There we go. Now we have a reasonable list. Now I have a reasonable list of cards that may well exist. So despite the low confidence rating, if it's true, and this is only what I would do if I had the time, which I'll admit I don't, but I have found a great deal of success when I do take the time to look through this list. This is a lower degree of confidence, so I can't vouch for doubling cube actually being $9.93. I checked before; it's actually $16, 16 to 20, and the buy list is 16.5. However, this is just a good metric to work by, just in terms of the weighted rank percent. Like I would do individual searches for these, and see if anything like this was remotely true. But that's only if you have the time. But it is certainly a power of this data that you have. Um, Alrighty, I think that's about it in terms of the tutorial. It's really all in the filters and stacking them to see what you really want to see. Just and then again, if you want to restart, you just go up, click filter, it undoes everything, and you can do it, and you can start again and really play with it to see what works for you. See where you can make the most money you can make. And if you have any other questions or if you would like me to do another video, definitely give me a holler. For right now, I think I'm going to be signing off on that. Peace, y'all.